Hi everyone, today's Thursday's Tips for Business. I thought I'd get outside today and share a tip for you, and today's tip is on imposter syndrome. Now I believe imposter syndrome is something we all have. It's something we all experience, something that we can't get away from, and something that as we become more aware of it, we can actually learn how to deal with it. So what do you think? Do you have imposter syndrome, or what actually is it? Well, imposter syndrome is despite having the evidence that we can do what we do really well, that we are skilled in what we do, we feel like a fraud. Can you relate to that? I know so many of us can. We feel like that we're inadequate, we feel like that we're faking it, we feel like failures. That's imposter syndrome. And often imposter syndrome will manifest itself in us through procrastination or perfection. All of these things come down to this imposter syndrome. So tips today, because in business this will happen to you. How do I know? Because I have been doing this a long time, and whether it's training, teaching, selling, speaking, coaching, whatever it is, this comes up for everybody. And if you say it doesn't come up for you, then I'm sorry, I beg to differ. I believe we all have this. But what happens is basically that we have actually just got into we've got into habits, we've got into wrong habits that have us focus on the negative thoughts that our mind uses to keep us out of trouble, to keep us from taking risk. Because the more that we think on these thoughts, the stronger the feelings are in us, the real they become. The more attention we give them, the bigger they become, and that's what happens. And yet guess what? All we've done is really just create a pattern of thinking that's become like second nature to us, and that's why it just comes up so naturally for us. So what's the answer? Well, I don't think any of us will ever get rid of it, but what I do know the answer is action. Action is the answer, and most things that you're going to hear from me, action is going to be a key factor in creating new habits, creating new ideas, and creating a new world for yourself. Action is a key part of it. So what you have to do is, instead of acknowledging, you do acknowledge those feelings of doubt, you acknowledge all those feelings, and yet you take action anyway. You get up and you take action, and it may be big action, it may be small action, it doesn't matter, but you take action. You start creating new ways of doing things. When you feel yourself getting pulled in, when you feel yourself getting sucked into these negative thinkings, you take action and you change what you're doing. Sometimes it's just getting outside, like here I am today here in Nanjing. It's nearly like 2 degrees outside. It's really cold, but you know what? You get out and you make something happen, and then you say, yeah, I did it, and you congratulate yourself for doing it, because momentum or movement creates momentum, and the more you move, the more you take action, the more momentum you're going to take to beat this thing called imposter syndrome. So how does that sound to you? I know you're all caught up in the holidays and it's holiday season, but when you start thinking about planning your next year, when you start thinking about what you want to achieve in 2018, don't let imposter syndrome come in. Acknowledge it, it's gonna be there all the time, and then take action. Create those plans, create those goals, and get out there and make it happen. So there's my key for today, Thursday's Tips for Business. Wherever you may be in the world, whatever you may be doing, make it awesome, everybody. Ka kite anō. Bye.